too?
Came on
Recorder's
last
on.
night. Thank you. It is 7 o'clock on
Which one you're talking about?
May the 4th.
I don't even know.
I'd like to call the this meeting of the Village of North Hudson regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees to order, and I would ask the clerk if she will please take the roll.
President Klein.
Here.
President Zappa.
Here.
O'Brien Berkeley.
Here.
Catherine.
Here.
Stanford.
Here.
Wecken.
Here.
And Thomas is absent.
Thank you. We have two sets of meeting minutes to approve. Let's begin with those of March 30th. Please, I'm trusting that you have reviewed them. Do you have any recommended changes?
I'll move to approve the minutes for the Village of North Hudson Board meeting for Tuesday, March 30th, 2010.
Thank you, Colleen. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Darrell. All in favor of accepting the minutes as presented indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And now the reorg meeting minutes of April 20th.
I'll move approval of Tuesday, April 20th, 2010 meeting minutes for the annual reorganization meeting.
Thank you, Joe.
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. All in favor of approving of the minutes April 20th indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item number 3 on the agenda is comments from the floor, and this is a statement that I read at every board meeting. This is an opportunity for residents to make the board aware of topics, issues, and opportunities not on today's agenda. I'd like to add something, and we will continue to add this at each meeting. It is actually illegal for us to engage in discussion or argumentation over any topic or any issue that you, the audience, brings to our attention. At most, we will say thank you very much. That's about the most I can do by law. We cannot engage you in discussion. If you would like a topic on the agenda, it is appropriate for you to then attend a meeting of the Public Safety Committee, the Park Board, Park Commission, Public Works, or the meeting that would be appropriate. But we cannot engage you in an argument. With that having been said, is there anyone who would like to address the board on a topic not on the agenda? Thank you. Adam, we'll get to you. Okay. Well, he did raise his hand. And yeah, sure you do.
Well, Christy Papke and I are here to talk real quickly about the first annual SART Golf Scramble that's going to be coming up on Friday, June 4th. SART has been doing major fundraisers every year, and this year we've decided to branch out a little bit and do a golf scramble. So it is a fundraiser, and it's open to anyone. We do have funding opportunities sponsorship opportunities for businesses in town to be able to sponsor a hole or a game. The St. Croix Valley Sexual Assault Response Team has been in existence for approximately 10 years, or a little over 10 years now. They service sexual assault victims in Pierce, St. Croix, and now Polk counties. We expanded to Polk County in January of this year. And this is an opportunity to get together, to support SART, and to have a great time on Friday, June 4th. It's a 1 o'clock shotgun start. It is foursomes, and it's going to be a best ball tournament. There'll be prizes, silent auction, and a number of fun games throughout. So as I stand up here right now, I am a representative of the St. Croix Valley Sexual Assault Response Team. I am currently the chair of the board of directors. And Christy is also a North Hudson resident and the executive director of that organization. So after hearing that, I understand that we can't converse. So
No, sorry. I can ask you, would you repeat the date?
Sure, it is June 4th at 1 o'clock. It's a Friday afternoon. And it just looked.
And where is it again, Mark?
Posters. That's actually at the Hudson Golf Course. And you can register online at our website, which is www.stcroixvalleysart.org. And again, that's all on the posters and the handouts that are going around.
No, I just hope that you join us for a good cause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, don't go away, Mark. You're going to be on. Yeah, I know, but don't go too far. Adam?
My name is Adam Sack, and I'm a coordinator for the North Hudson Neighborhood Watch Program. And I'm here today to tell you about a public safety fair that we're hosting on Saturday, the 22nd, at the North Hudson Elementary School. At this safety fair, we're going to have emergency vehicles, and we're also going to have a bike rodeo for kids, where they can get their helmets fitted, and they can go through an obstacle course. And it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be complimentary snacks and beverages, and we're also going to be giving away a kid's bike along with other prizes. So I invite you all to attend Saturday, May 22nd from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the North Hudson Elementary. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Anybody else have any programs that they would like to use this for? Okay. You have later? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Item number 4, new business from the board or staff. And it starts off with the president's comments. This is the first meeting for the board, for the new board, and I like to refer to this as the class of 2010-2011. And at the last board meeting, I handed out a little sheet that had to do with how many, just some personal introduction information. So if I can, I'd like to start with a seasoned veteran down at my far left of the table, Mark Zappa. Mark, would you like to begin this?
Sure, George. I'm Mark Zappa. I've been a resident of North Hudson most of my life. Been on Board of Trustees 20-plus years. I'm currently on Public Works and Public Safety, I believe. And that's about it.
Thank you. Colleen?
I'm Colleen O'Brien Berglund. I've lived in North Hudson for 20 years. I've been on the board for 4 years. And my committee assignments are public safety, public welfare, and park board chair. And for 1 year, I was on the intergovernmental committee.
Read this. I am Colleen.
I'm changing.
You're going to change some of that, Joe? Oh, okay.
I'm Joe Cawthorn, and I've been a village resident for 30 years now. I've been on the Board of Trustees for, I think this is my 8th year, completing the 8th year. And I was, I was on Public Works for several years, and now I'm chairman of Public Safety. And I think that should do it.
Thanks, Joe. Terry, you want to say
Sure.
a couple words?
Well, I'm Terry Dunst. I'm the village attorney. I'm not a village resident. My law firm has represented the village for quite a few years, and I'm the lead municipal attorney with our law firm, and I've been here at the Village North Hudson for over a year, probably not 2 years.
Good. Thank you, Terry.
Yep. Thanks, George.
I'm George Klein, and I have been a resident of the village now for 31 years, 7 months. It seems like only yesterday I moved in. Been on the Board of Trustees for 8 years. My current assignments on the board are the Finance, Board of Review, EMS Ambulance, Intergovernmental Advisory Council. I chair that for for 3 more months. And formerly I was the chair of the Public Safety Committee. Gloria, would you like to go next?
My name is Gloria Traster. I'm the Administrator, Treasurer, Deputy Clerk, and I've served the village residents and board for 6 years. My primary responsibility is the accounting through the audit, tax roll responsibilities and collection, supervising the administration functions in the village, budget, board of review, and various other assignments as needed.
Thank you, Gloria. Darrell?
I assume the nameplate has got my name, so you know who I am. I'm Darrell Stanifer. I've been a village resident now for 21 years. I was first appointed to the village board in '09, and I was elected this year in 2010. I currently serve as chair of the Village Public Works Committee. I serve on the Finance Committee, and I'm on the Board of Review. I retired as a banker a couple of years ago, and I have represented, in addition to my village position, the village of North Hudson on the St. Croix County Board of Supervisors now for 16 years, and I'm currently chair of the County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. Stan is our most recent addition to the board, and Dan, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I got a new name tag, but it's spelled right. But I'm Stan Wecken. I've been a village resident for 26 years, so I'm newly elected. I did serve on the board previously in the late 90s, and George was kind enough to assign me to Public Works, Public Welfare Committee, and get to chair the Historic Preservation Committee, and I'm looking forward to working with the residents because we have, in 2012, we'll have the centennial of North Hudson will be 100 years old, and we're going to put together some kind of program with the help of the residents and whatever else we can come up with in order to celebrate the 100 years of being a village in North Hudson.
Thank you, Stan. And now you know who we are. Oh, we do have another one, don't we? Yeah. We don't want to forget our clerk, do we?
Last but not least.
Becky.
My name is Becky Milbrandt, and I have been an employee of the village for about a year and a half. I started in January of 2009 as the deputy clerk. I served in that role for about 6 months, and in July of 2009, I became the clerk and have been in that role for slightly less than a year. As the clerk, I work primarily with elections and planning and zoning. I work with the Plan Commission in that. I update the website and work with the agendas for the various meetings, and generally I'm the first person you see when you come to visit us here at the Village Hall.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
All right. As you see on the agenda, the next item is recognition of the chief. And I'm going to drag you up there to the podium, Mark. Do you have that? Is that the certificate there?
Yeah, the one you have here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He used to bring his own certificate.
Well, it was already given to him.
Brandon, we make it nicer that way.
It's ironic, I've never been to this podium.
Really?
Yeah.
Quite comfortable.
Yes, it is. I'm indeed honored to be able to read this recognition that Mark has received. I want to read what it says on this plaque, and then I'm going to ask Mark to tell us a little bit more about this. He already talked about SART, and this is that same thing. Isn't it? Wisconsin Coalition Against Sexual Assault, Inc. presents the 2010 Voices of Courage Criminal Justice Award to Mark Richard for his outstanding efforts to change responses to sexual assault victims, survivors, by training officers, providing ongoing support to the local SART, for his involvement in community education, and for his compassion and advocacy for victims. Mark, I'm indeed proud to shake your hand. Thank you very much for your service to this village.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to take a moment to elaborate on this. By the way, this was awarded to Mark on April 29th at the state capitol in Madison. And this is quite a high honor. He was in Madison. You were in there with Andy.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yep.
And it's truly it's great recognition. So I'm going to turn this podium over to you and tell a little bit more about it.
Sure. And I would like to invite to the podium Executive Director Christy Pavick, because Christy is the one that nominated me for this award, and she would like to say a few words before I make a short statement. I figured you would.
Well, thank you for having me tonight. I'm Christy Pavick, and I'm the Executive Director of the St. Clair Valley Central South Wisconsin. I'm also a co-founder of the organization. And as Executive Director, it has been truly an honor to work with Mark. He first came to us as a board member in 2006, and now as chair. And I think I can say on behalf of all of us at SART, all of the staff, and all of the forensic nurses and advocates and volunteers, and even the other board members, we are inspired and we are grateful for your dedication and your leadership and your kindness and dedication to the community and to victims of sexual assault and to SART. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now my short speech.
Well, that's it, Donna.
You can. Thank you.
I didn't get a hug.
I hesitate to say maybe later, but last Thursday, it was my honor to stand in a room that had quite a bit of history as far as the assembly chambers, or the parlor behind the assembly chambers, in front of about 65 guests who came of their own free will. There were 10 awards that were given out on that day. They're basically broken down into categories, but mine was for criminal justice, and there were a number of others. And as I sat, I was the 6th person to be awarded, and the 6th person to give a speech, and I can tell you that the speeches were unbelievable, by anywhere from victims of sexual assault who have used that horrific event to change other people's lives, to really make the world and Wisconsin a better place, to teachers who have instilled great pride in schools and coming forward and talking and trying to get sexual assault victims to come forward and get justice for that horrific event, to a district attorney from Green Lake County who has been prosecuting with a great vigor all of the cases that come forward to him, and is not leaving victims behind because of some small thing. And I was humbled by the group that was there, and to be part of those 10 people that received an award. I hope to keep up the energy that I've had with SART, and it's an organization that I wholeheartedly believe in. And when I became a member of the board, one of the things that I said that I would try not to do is to re-victimize any victim. And so as we go forward as a police department here in North Hudson, and as we try to build SART in the 3 counties that we serve, that's our goal, is to make sure that victims get the support, get the help, get the prosecutions that they need, and are not re-victimized. So I appreciate the acknowledgement tonight. I think last Thursday, being there with my wife at the Capitol was quite an honor, one that I will remember the rest of my life. And I appreciate the fact that Christy was able to be here tonight, because she was not able to make the long journey down to Madison, based on the fact that she was writing grants for SART business as usual, trying to make sure that that organization stays strong. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Gloria, I think you're next. Do you have anything you'd like to?
Well, just to update the board that the auditors were here last week. I think they finished up in a record three days, maybe 3.5, and very few. There was actually just 2 or 3 journal entries to put in, so it went very well. Next month you will start seeing the budget information coming forward. So I'd like each committee to start putting the budget process on their agenda so that we get an early jump on it. And that's basically it.
Thank you, Gloria. And our village clerk, do you have any comments, Becky?
Just an update on where we are at with scheduling the board of review. You know that time of year is coming up. We're tentatively looking at May 17th to have an initial meeting to adjourn to a later time. We're hoping to have the assessment roll available for review here at the Village Hall starting on May 18th, followed by the open book with the assessor on June 2nd from 4 to 6 p.m. And then the board of review will actually take place on June 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. Just to let the residents know who are interested, as well as the board, that those are the dates that we're anticipating at this time.
June 22nd?
Correct. And on a separate note, just as another reminder that we have the bulk item collection taking place next Saturday, which is May 8th, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. That'll be taking place behind the Village Car Wash. Veolia will be there to accept bulk items, and there is a fee schedule available here posted at the Village Hall as well as on the Village website. So if you're interested in taking a look at that, that's where that would be available.
I think that bulk item cost for pickup was also in the last bill, wasn't it? Last bill from Veolia?
There was a mailing that went out from Veolia that talked about the yard waste collection that took place yesterday, actually, and then it did talk about the bulk item collection as well, and there was a fee schedule or price list.
I just wanted to draw that to the public's attention. Take a look at that. I think it was on the second page. Take a look at that. Some very important information in there. Anything else, Beck?
That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5 is a Lake Malibu presentation. Kyle, I believe the podium is yours.
I have a handout here, but I think I'll hand that out when I finish. Thank you to Trustee Standiford for inviting me this evening.
Kyle, for the record, why don't you indicate who you are and your title?
Yep. And just to mention, Daryl serves on our stakeholder group, so that's the connection here between himself and me. My name is Kyle Kulo, and I work as a watershed specialist for St. Croix County's Land and Water Conservation Department. I've worked with the county for 15 years. My background, I received a Bachelor's of Science degree in Natural Resource Management from the University of Wisconsin-River Falls. I had an emphasis in agronomy and spent a brief time with the Chippewa County Land and Water Conservation Department prior to moving into my position in St. Croix County. Outside of my employment, I serve as a District 2 delegate to the Wisconsin Conservation Congress and also serve as president of the St. Croix County Sportsman's Alliance. So with that, I think my goal this evening is to be brief, but to try to give an explanation or a description anyway of a surface water quality project that is coming our way. And that project I will refer to as the Lake Malibu/Whittle River TMDL. I'll give you a couple acronyms, hopefully describe those acronyms so that we're all on the same page. Give you a brief history of the project, and then toward the end, if you have any questions, and I'm guessing that you probably will, hopefully we can address some of those. Okay. As history goes, the Lake Pepin, the Lake Malibu Whittle River TMDL. TMDL is actually an acronym that stands for Total Maximum Daily Load. And that simply means that there's a load, a pollutant load, that's reaching a given water body. And in our case, it's going to be Lake Malibu. And we're going to try to establish some load reductions for those pollutants within this surface water project that we're just starting now. EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, has actually mandated to the states these TMDL projects. And they have said, they've come up with a list of 303D impaired waters. If that water body falls on the EPA's list, they will therefore mandate to the state that you have to come up with a water quality project to address those resource concerns within that given water body. And so that's where we are right now. Lake Malibu falls on that list. The state has the feds have mandated the state to come up with this plan. The state has turned to St. Croix County and said, okay, you have to come up with this implementation plan to address your resource concerns within Lake Malibu. And so we've taken it from there, we being St. Croix County, and have applied for 3 different planning grants to help us bring a stakeholder group together and actually put together the pieces of a implementation strategy to address those resource concerns. The 3 grants, we just recently found out that the remaining 2, the first one we found out was a successful application in January. The remaining 2 that we had applied for, recently we found out that they were okayed also. So we've received somewhere in the neighborhood of $45,000 into the county to attempt at, again, pulling the stakeholder group together and getting to the point where we can put this implementation strategy together. The stakeholder group right now, and we're going to build that through time, has differing, I guess, interests in it. The city of Hudson is an active member. Village of North Hudson through Darrow, is a participant. St. Croix River Association, St. Croix County, Lake Malibu Lake Association, and then eventually we're going to draw in the agricultural producers. So I'm envisioning by the time we get this stakeholder group totally formed, we're probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 18 different individuals. We've also got the Public Works supervisor, I believe it is, for the city of Hudson, as part of that. Buck Malick, who's a county board supervisor, is part of that group. We've met twice now. And the stakeholder group, their charge will be to try to come up with recommendations for us in terms of where we want to target our dollars within that project. Anybody have any questions up to this point?
Hey, you mentioned that the EPA has basically said mandated we need to do something, the local people need to do something with Lake Malibu.
Right.
Is that based on some tests of water quality that?
Yes.
And what did those tests say? What were
the tests essentially looked at several things. Sediment delivery into Lake Malibu. They did chlorophyll A tests. That's a measurement of how eutrophic, or how productive is another word to say, how productive that lake is. They looked at those numbers. They looked at total phosphorus coming into the lake and then exiting the lake. And based on several of those numbers, I believe it was back, it may have been even earlier, but I think in the literature I read it was 1999. I know they did testing in 99 and then again in 2006. So based on all those numbers then, that criteria, they determined that Lake Malibu was on the impaired list for phosphorus and low dissolved oxygen readings. And then there's a portion of the at the upper reaches of the Little River watershed that has pH problems. And then also there was one other pollutant that they were concerned with. I can't remember what that is. So therefore, they grouped everything together. Going forward, in the literature, most of our reductions that we're going to try to make are probably going to come from the agricultural community. Years ago, the waste load coming from the city, from the municipalities, was about 20%, and now it's estimated that it's down to 2%. So there isn't a whole lot more, in my estimation, that we can do through the municipalities. There's some, but much of the reductions that we're going to be looking to make are going to be coming from the agricultural community. And those reductions haven't been established yet. With every TMDL project, the state of Wisconsin's DNR personnel are charged with putting together the load reductions for the TMDL project. That hasn't been done yet. So hopefully within another month to month and a half, we will have those numbers so that we can target practices geared toward meeting those numbers. And when I say practices, I mean it may be a barnyard that we want to install on a farmer's land, or maybe a grass waterway, or some type of best management practice that will reduce the amount of pollution that we're getting into the.
Will there be a financial impact on the village?
There could be a small financial impact.
Define small. It's
I
really
can't.
relative.
Yep, I can't. The way these projects work, and there hasn't been many of these done even throughout the whole country. This is a totally new way to address our non-point source pollution problems within the state. It's voluntary, with the exception of the municipalities and their permits and what they are charged with in terms of what their load reductions are. I mean, that's, I think, established in the permits. But outside of that, in most cases, the loads that are going to be established for the reductions we want to see in Lake Malibu have already kind of been established in a bigger TMDL, which is the Lake St. Croix project. And so they've said, okay, we're gonna reduce phosphorus delivery into the larger watershed by 360 tons. Lake Malibu and Willow River, you're gonna have a certain percentage of that tonnage that you need to reduce. And over time, since 99 or 2000 and 2006, I believe the city has done a lot to reduce those numbers. They went from 20% of the total load, according to DNR numbers, down to 2%. So you're gonna get credit for that reduction already. So that's gonna help us meet our goal. And the same thing with some of the agricultural producers, although it's harder to determine what they've done in the past few years that we can credit. But going forward, it's going to be a cost-share program. So and it's going to be a voluntary program. So if the village or the city or a farmer is willing to put a practice in to try to reduce a certain amount of pollution, the state, through the federal government, will cost share that practice. And most of the time, it's about 70%, 30%. Landowners or the municipality would get 30%. They would get 70%. They would be required to pay 30%. But that I don't know yet either, because we haven't crossed that bridge yet. And that's my main concern is with this project, are they going to back this mandate up with funding? That we don't know. The biggest concern through our stakeholder group meetings, we've had two, and through some of these other meetings I've attended with the Lake St. Croix, the TMDL, the biggest concern is what is it going to cost? Is it going to be mandatory versus voluntary? There are a lot of questions out there. So in short, it's a water quality project that's coming. It's going to be a cost-shared program. They're going to address two primary pollutants, phosphorus, which is a nutrient that's good if used in fertilizer and in proper amounts, but it's bad if you get it into a surface water. Because phosphorus, just like in a cornfield, phosphorus is going to grow too much vegetation in the lake. You can get algal blooms. It's going to die off in the fall, decompose. You've got all this extra decomposition going on in the lake, and it starves the water body of oxygen. So that's primarily the problem with phosphorus. Sediment, of course, carries with it phosphorus, and in addition, sediment will be deposited in a lake body or even a stream and destroy habitat. So,
periodically, will you lower the water level in Lake Malibu? Is that one of the possibilities for removing these contaminants that would be in the lake?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess it could be, but DNR is going to look at it as, if we do that to make Lake Malibu better, well, maybe we're just taking that problem and putting it into the bigger picture TMDL, which is the St. Croix River. Lake St. Croix. So at this point, I'm not really sure what we said, but it's a very good question, and one that I'll ask them the next time I have one.
Anybody else have any questions?
Kyle, thanks.
Daryl, thank you for
I'll pass
inviting him
this
in.
around, just a brief explanation. This is titled Model Phosphorus Exports from the Willow River Watershed. And most of the time I get questions, well, how do you know, as I did before, why is it impaired? Where did they get the numbers? What did they use to establish those numbers? And so this is just a description, brief description of the watershed, but then it also includes some of the models that DNR is using to get some of those numbers that they provided EPA years ago. So EPA used those numbers to establish Lake Malibu as a 303B impaired water. But then also these models will be used to define goals going forward for non-point source pollution reduction within Lake Malibu's TMDL. So some light reading.
Kyle, one last question.
Yeah.
We have our village engineer here. Will our engineering firm become involved with this process as well?
They certainly could. And if they would be, are they the village's firm through the entire year? Are they? Or
They
just
think so.
come-
No, they are.
They would certainly, I would be certainly happy to include them on an email for future meetings, and they're certainly willing to come. We'd love to have them.
I'm just throwing that out so that we make sure that they are not the Johnny-come-lately, and geez, why didn't you let us know about this from the beginning, because it impacts other things, so.
No, I would say, CC them on the meeting minutes and that sort of stuff. I don't know that you'd have to attend.
Right, and we could get you minutes and things of that nature too, and maybe Daryl could take care of getting me your email.
I'll get you Kevin's
information and whatnot. So, yeah, we appreciate that.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the June Village Board meeting, and I had indicated at the last meeting that I was going to ask for a motion, or I could even make the motion myself, to move the next meeting from June 1st, which is the day after Memorial Day, to June 8th. And so I will make that motion.
Second.
Thank you, Stan. Any discussion? Anybody have a problem with that?
I probably won't be here on the 8th. It's my son's 8th grade farewell, so
Okay.
attend that.
I understand. All right.
June 8th.
I'm a little reluctant to move it to another,
That's
to the
okay.
next
That's okay.
meeting, but,
You can
or
keep
the
me
next
posted.
week, but. Okay, all in favor of moving the June meeting to June 8th, indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Item number 7 is adoption of ordinance 01, indicating that it's the first ordinance of the year, 2010, amending Chapter 70 Offenses and Miscellaneous Provisions, Article 1, in general, Section 70-1, Offenses against state laws subject to forfeiture of the Village Code. I think this is something you want to, did you want to talk about this, Mark?
This ordinance is one that comes out of the Public Safety Committee based on some changes that will be seen on July 5th, reference the indoor smoking ban in Wisconsin. The state law, how do I phrase this? The state law gives enforcement at the county level, so basically the circuit court level. If North Hudson PD were to enforce currently, or if the law were in place, which is not until July 5th, but if the law were in place currently, if we were to issue a citation or a summons to court, it would have to go to the circuit court. All of the prosecution and whatnot would take place there, and then any revenue that would come from that would go to the county, and then all of the other smaller breakouts that bond amounts go out to. With this ordinance, and because there's no restriction in state law, the village can then make enforcement of the smoking ban a municipal ordinance issue, to where if there's a violation, the police department can issue a citation into municipal court, at which point the revenues and those monies that would be allotted would come back to the village for if someone were found guilty of any of those violations. So it doesn't change the state law, it doesn't do anything other than we're adopting state statute, which in 70-1 you'll notice we adopted a number of criminal violations just by code to say we adopt in its entirety the state statute, and therefore make it enforceable on the municipal level for municipal citations and those types of things. That it just makes it a little bit cleaner for us, and obviously does not bog down the DA's office and the circuit court system anymore.
Mark, I understand that other municipalities throughout the state are doing the same thing as we're proposing this evening.
They are. I don't have specifics on
Yeah.
others in St. Croix County that are, but I know that's been the trend. There's been some discussion on how they could do it differently, but really the way that the state law is put together, there's really no other way of doing it that doesn't somehow violate statute, because the statute puts in a restriction that smoking can take place outside at a reasonable distance from an entrance. Well, the state statute then says you cannot define municipalities what a reasonable distance is. So if they're looking at trying to put ordinances to say it has to be 7 feet, it has to be 10 feet, then they're already violating state statute. So it's much cleaner and much easier just to adopt it in its entirety.
Sounds a little vague, doesn't it? Reasonable?
I have a feeling that there were a lot of interests vying for verbiage in that particular statute.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Does anybody have any board members or have any questions of Mark regarding this change?
I have a couple questions. I mean, I did some research through our code and then, of course, through the state statutes. And, there's, our code says, the fines could be from $500 to $500 in a situation like this. Who determines what the fine is?
If you look also in that code, you'll find that our municipal judge sets the bond amounts.
Okay, so the judge determines whether it's $5 or $500. It's a pretty good window. I mean, I'm just curious. I know we don't have to, with the state code, we can be less restrictive, but we can't be more restrictive than state code.
Actually, the other way around. We can be more restrictive than state law, but we cannot be less restrictive.
As fine-wise?
State law. Correct. You're right. I'm sorry. As fines, we cannot.
Yeah. That's what that's kind of what I'm looking at. Yeah, I mean, as far as distances and stuff like that, because as going through our list, and there's different things that they've done where this all of a sudden the state will change, their wording to increase a fine, where and we might not, if we don't catch up with it here, then I was just concerned that all of a sudden we're being again mandated by the state on a personal property event. As far as I'm concerned, this is personal property. This isn't, the state shouldn't be involved in it. But I just want to know where the fines are coming from. I'm glad that you took the initiative to bring it here so that we, if you guys are going to, when you have to enforce it, that we get paid for rather than Madison. So appreciate that. But I was just curious as how we were going to, determine what the fines are going to be.
And like I said, that is set by the judge, and it's set. It's not reviewed annually. Basically, it's set, and then unless there's a need seen within the village or the judge sees that he's not getting compliance based on the dollar amount that he set, which I've seen him do on, I think it was stop sign violations, where he wasn't getting compliance when people were being cited for stop sign violations, so he bumped up that bond amount to try to enhance people's awareness of stop signs. I don't know that he would do that in this particular case, but that's by our ordinances up to him.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. We ready? Okay, I need a motion to adopt ordinance 01-2010.
Also move.
Thank you, Joe.
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Any further discussion? This being an ordinance, we'll have a roll call vote. We'll start with Mr. Zappa.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Do you want to stay up there to talk about the parade? Okay. Next on the agenda is the North Hudson Elementary Fun Run on May 26th.
And I guess for lack of a better term, I'll do the lead-in on this one. I was approached last week by some representatives, teachers, counselors with the North Hudson Elementary School asking to close down some streets around the North Hudson Elementary School, which really would be Lemon Street, Webster Street, Helen Street, and Monroe Street North, to put on a fun run on a day which already has a number of, I guess, outside activities and track and field type of activities at the school, which are going to end. I can let them define it, but I believe in early, just after 2 o'clock, and I think they were trying to put some filler in to really give the kids something else to do to build school spirit and to do as a group. And so they have come forward and asked for some road closures to make sure that the kids are safe. I have an issue statement that I presented to the board, which discusses the streets that we were looking at closing. Originally, it was requested for all 4 streets around the school, and after some discussion and hopefully my urging, that I narrowed it down to 3 streets because Lemon Street tends to be a pretty busy street at the time of day that we're looking at, or that they're looking at putting on this event. And so the discussion and the topic in the issue statement is to close from, on Webster Street from Lemon all the way to Helen, on Helen Street from Webster to Monroe Street North, and on Monroe Street from Helen Street North to Lemon Street North. Obviously, that's a peninsula, if you will, around the school. And then once the kids come west on Monroe Street North, they'll be turned across the grass and over to the bus lane or somewhere on the south side of the school to complete their fun run. So without taking away all of their pomp and circumstance, I invite the representatives from the school, if they'd like to add anything, to come forward. And you do have to speak in front of the microphone. They make you do that.
I'm Christy Dado. I'm the bio teacher at North Hudson. I'm Sarah Russell. I'm a second grade teacher at North Hudson. I'm Heather Matthews. I'm a first grade teacher at North Hudson. And I guess we're just looking at getting their support and closing the roads. And that is on Wednesday, May 26th at about 2:30 in the afternoon, hoping that we could close the event around 3:15. We'd just like to do a fun run to kind of build up our around our school, kind of tie in with our track and field events that we already do that day.
We're kind of looking to make this an annual event also. So.
What roads?
These are kind of our trial run here.
There's a map in the back of the issue statement.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Any questions about that?
Any of the board members have any questions? I would then entertain a motion to, or as stated, I'd like somebody to read it.
I move to authorize traffic restriction on Webster Street North from Lemon Street North to Helen Street North, and Helen Street North from Webster Street North to Monroe Street North, and Monroe Street North from Helen Street North to Lemon Street North for the North Hudson Elementary School Fun Run on Wednesday, May 26, 2010, from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I was getting nervous there, guys. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Have a good time with the kids.
Just,
Will the three of you be running as well?
how,
We have quite a few teachers that want to run.
All right.
never mind.
You can keep up with the kids or shoot them along?
Probably not.
Oh, I know you do. Oh, boy. Okay. As I gaze out looking for the representative from the Plan Commission, I don't see him. So, do you think, is there anything other than what we see in the meeting minutes, Becky?
I think the minutes probably reflect exactly what the
Okay.
Plan Commission did at the last meeting. Basically, the meeting was to discuss the preliminary plat of the Whispering Oak subdivision, which is an extraterritorial subdivision taking
Right.
place in the town of Hudson. And the Plan Commission did recommend, did move to approve that subdivision, and at this point, it is still going through the process with the town of Hudson and the county. Those reviewing authorities are still looking at it. And I think the town board is actually meeting on it tonight.
Stan, did you have anything you'd like to add? Were you at that meeting?
No, that would have been my wife.
Okay.
I was there. I would add one thing, and that's just that it was the preliminary plat that they approved. So they've got a ways to go yet, but mainly it's the town's jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on Plan Commission? All right. Finance Committee. We met a little while ago,
let's see, I'll make that one motion.
and the claims, Joe?
Claims, if that's okay with you.
Please do.
I recommend the board approve the April 2010 non-reoccurring claims totaling $109,806.40.
Thank you, Joe.
Second.
Thank you, Darrell. Just like to make a comment here. The payments this month seem, well, are higher than what we would consider normal, and that's because we're paying the first half of our fire department agreement fee. So it would be.
Or is it the second half?
I think this is the first half.
Is it?
Yeah.
Rats.
Well, there'll be another one after the second half of people paying their taxes. So we can afford to give them their second half. Yeah.
I'm just saying that it would have been nice to have already paid $45,000 is all I'm saying, but
Well, we're
that's,
open for donations if you'd.
okay.
Keep that in mind, right?
I'll take that under advisement.
Very good. This is a spending issue, so we'll have a roll call vote. This time I'd like to start with Stan.
Yes.
Darrell?
Yes.
George, yes.
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 Thank you. Item B. Joe, you want to talk briefly about that one?
I
What our
guess I
plan is?
can. As it says here, briefly, I'll be very brief. It was a discussion-only topic. We didn't reach any recommendations, and we are going to have more data and information available to the Finance Committee June 8th.
June 8th.
And whether in fact we bring anything to the board in terms of recommendations or not, I do not know. But we're trying to hit this a little earlier this year to try to get control of what it is that we would like to plan for 2011.
I'd like to interject. I don't think we said to the audience what the topic is. It's employee health insurance benefits. And you'll notice
Thank
it
you.
is strictly discussion only. So
Yep.
Joe will be bringing something back to us, some recommendations, some thoughts, and he may be talking with some of the staff as well. All right. And that was personnel and finance. Next is public works. I'll turn this over to Darrell.
Two items to bring to the board's attention tonight. We did approve in our most recent public works meeting, two items, brought them to finance tonight where they also were approved, both with forward recommendations to the full board. The first one was the awarding, or the opening, and we're recommending that we award the bid on the 10th Street project. Those bids came in attractively low, all grouped fairly tightly. They came in even below the engineer's estimates, and we were pleased with that. So the award, the low bid is the award that we're recommending that we make, and we recommend awarding the project to A1 Excavating in their bid amount of $120,000, $120,424.05.
Thank you, Darrell.
Is that a recommendation or motion?
I'm moving.
I'll second.
that.
I'll second.
Do you have anything to add to this, Kevin? Just want to give him an opportunity if he had a.
Just real briefly.
Besides, he has to justify his fee for being here tonight.
Yes, that is true.
You don't get off easy here. You should know that by now.
Yeah, when you actually look at how it compares to what the special assessment report is, it looks like we're going to be roughly about $11,000 less. So in theory, the final assessment amounts for the individuals that will be affected are obviously going to be coming in lower from what we figured as part of the preliminary assessment.
Is that, the 120 is not the total cost of the project though, correct? What is the total cost?
It'll be the 120 plus engineering and admin, which is about another 18,000. So it'll be slightly under 140,000.
All right.
Very good. Thank you, Kevin.
And we'll probably be looking at starting construction, I would say, probably first part of June. Thinking of a month to a month and a half worth of work.
Any other questions or discussion? We have a spending item on the, we have a motion
We
on a
have-
spending item. Joe, did you have a?
What was there, item C under Public Works?
I think we're still on B.
We're on B.
I'm sorry. I'm
We-
sorry.
The
I'm
awarding
sorry.
of the
Oh,
bid.
okay, I
Yeah,
thought,
we're just
never
awarding
mind.
the bid to
Yes,
A1.
we didn't vote.
Okay. It's a
I'm with
spending,
you.
spending item, so this time we'll start with Mr. Zappa.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Next.
The item C under Public Works, we did interview the finalists for the temporary summer position in Public Works, and we do have a recommendation that did pass Public Works and Finance Committee tonight. So our motion is to, I would move to hire Nathaniel Kirkpatrick as a part-time seasonal Public Works employee for the summer of 2010.
Thank you, Darrell.
Second.
Thank you, Mark.
And that is budgeted. We
Yeah.
did discuss that at Finance, and this is a budgeted seasonal employee.
Just another number that we discussed for a maximum number of hours of.
500 hours is the maximum.
Okay. Any questions of Darrell? I don't think we need a roll call on this one, do we? Nah.
It's sort of your discretion.
It is by discretion that we don't. All in favor of the motion to hire Patrick, or what's his first? Nathaniel Kirkpatrick, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Joe, you want to talk about public safety a little more?
Actually, no.
Okay.
I think you can read the meeting minutes. I'm not sure if you have any other comments. Mark, great. So just read the meeting minutes and you can.
I did. Just give you a
what's going
chance to
on?
chit-chat a little bit with the public. Okay, public welfare.
Didn't meet.
Did not meet. That's probably why there was blank in there, right? Okay.
And Jim isn't here for part.
And the park board. Colleen, I'll bet you've got something to talk about.
I do. Well, we're continuing to work on the Chief Jansen Memorial Park and the, looking at getting the playground installed this spring, early summer, whenever Public Works can get to it. And after that, we will sometime in the fall probably have the grand opening and dedication. And the other big thing that we're working on is the grant application for the railroad property. The assessment came in, or the appraisal came in by J.C. Norby, and it came in rather high, we thought, at $283,000. And with that and the other things that we were finding out that needs to be done in order to get the grant approved, we decided to wait until the future, hopefully next year, to apply for the grant. The grant application was due May 1st, and it was just getting a little too close to try to get everything done. The bridge inspection still needs to be completed, and that has been budgeted for. And we would like to continue working on this to see if it will work, since we still feel that it would be a valuable project for the village and that the residents would get a lot of use out of it. It's just getting to a little more complicated than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
The $200,000 was for what again?
To purchase the property.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was appraised at. For the DNR grant, you have to tell them what it was appraised for, but you can offer them less. And it would be, if the railroad would agree to it.
I'm sure there will be many more discussions on this before we're ready to even entertain a bid or an offer to the railroad, because the part of the assessed value was the value of the bridge. From my standpoint, after having done my own personal examination of it, they ought to pay us. That is not an asset, but a detriment. When I looked at the pilings, and I'm the engineer, Kevin, but I looked at those pilings, and I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to be betting my life on any of them. So we'll.
Bridge inspection, that's where all those issues will come up.
Yeah. Yep. So thank you, Colleen. We're almost ready to adjourn. There were a couple documents here that I did want to bring your attention to. You'll notice that we've been given I think this is important. I want to talk about this just a little bit. The license for peddlers, canvassers, transient merchants. This form is something that, Gloria, you came up with, the format?
Becky and I
Okay,
did.
it looks very official, and you'll notice that Mike Thole, Sweet Treats, is back with us again. And I believe it was Sunday I heard that his little bells as he came down Helen Street, and the kids from across the street ran out, and they're really excited. It's like the opening of summer when the ice cream man comes down the street. And so, just so that you're aware of what the permit looks like. So feel free, if you see a competitor coming down the street, run over and ask him to see his license. The next document is, Becky put this together. It's just so that you know, it's the spring election results. A lot of detail here. So, but again, this is just from the village. This is not correct, Becky. We're just looking at the village here.
Correct.
And this is not for the county. It's not for the whole school district. Okay, and then of course the map, the May and June map is at the end. All right. Anybody else have anything that they would like to share? If not, Mr. Zappa, do you have a motion that you'd like to make?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Thank you.
8:03.
8:03. I thank you, folks.
Go home and get feeling better.